Today's video is sponsored by Game Nerds, the best place to buy all your sealed Digimon product, as well as other trading card games and for all your general gaming needs. And also by Inked Gaming, the best place to get your own custom playmats printed with the highest quality around. Links are in the description. What's going on, Tamers? Welcome to DigiPod, the digital podcast. I'm your boy Varney, Mike, Dan, DigiGuard United.
Stop.
Yo.
Stop doing that. I hate that.
Whose man's is this?
Frankie! Super!
No, just no. Every time you do it, we just tell you no.
We need something. We need to be like, DigiGuard Unite for Udamon. Ah!
I hate
Demon.
that you just pulled that out of nowhere. I hate that.
Vmon.
Wow, that was wow. What was that?
Agumon.
Oh my god.
Agumon. Ty!
I don't even. That was a decent
Agumon.
That was pretty good.
Greymon! Greymon, Digimon!
You're done. You're done. It's over. We're over it.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Anyway.
So locals.
We're going to jump right into it today because these podcasts are getting more and more streamlined, believe it or not. And
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either. Not a second.
I don't
But
either.
today,
I don't know why you lied to. Why you be you out here lying to people recently? I swear to God.
Lying, bro. I don't know what you talking about. I ain't lying about nothing. I say everything with the utmost sincerity. I put the truth behind everything I say. It's just a matter of whether I hold myself to that truth or not.
You know what? That's a valid point. Valid point right there, Barney.
Did I release a YouTube schedule in our Discord that you should totally be a part of to find out when I release said YouTube schedule? Yes. Am I going to hold myself to it? I will try. I will do my damnedest.
We will try.
We will try and we will do our damnedest. That being said, YouTube schedule, tentatively going forward, the goal is to have a weekly upload schedule, Monday through Friday. Thursday and more specifically, like Friday's videos, like probably we're going to count it as a weekday where we're off, or weekend where we're off. But Monday will be the Tamer Battle League winning deck profile video. Tuesday will be the VOD upload to YouTube for the Tamers Battle League. Wednesday will be the upload of the podcast. Thursday will be, some deck profile or some other video pre-planned. And then Friday through Sunday off because I don't have time. Dan, Mike doesn't have time to do anything Saturday through Sunday. And probably not with Friday because Friday's TBL. And I go from work straight to TBL prep. So
I don't even know how I have time to do anything, actually, at all.
Mike doesn't even look at Mike's room. You see, there's like nothing in there. He's been lying to y'all. He's not moving. He just hasn't had time to set anything up.
No,
he actually moved already. He's in his new house.
The reason there's nothing in there is I've been selling all of my belongings to feed my Digimon collection. It's awful. It's an addiction.
The cardboard crack,
I need to go to rehab.
No, but
actually, the next time,
There's
on that point,
some good stuff right here.
On that point, what Barney is saying about our YouTube schedule, once Mike officially moves and is in a comfortable spot, we will legit by that point have something consistent for y'all on YouTube because we'll have a nice spot to record stuff. It won't just be what the schedule is currently. We'll have some different things I think y'all will enjoy.
Right.
And Emily told me I'm not allowed to set anything up, and she's gonna set it all up because if I set it up, then it's gonna look bad. It's not gonna look nice. So.
You know what? She's probably right.
She's like, let me decorate it.
At least we know that it's gonna look nice. You just got to give her some Digimon memorabilia to put up.
I think.
Somebody
get a Skype call. Yeah, a Teams call. Who's that? You get a Teams call, Dan?
I don't think that was me, but it might be.
Well,
let me check.
Somebody was trying to contact you at 10 o'clock. You on call, bro?
No.
Anyways.
It said, are you using your laptop to record Digimon content?
Yo, we know what you're doing. Is that Riverside? You're using that for your damn podcast, aren't you?
I don't have a call. I'm on Microsoft Teams, so it's one of y'all two.
It actually didn't sound like it did sound like a Teams call, but I think it was like a Facebook call, maybe, or Discord call, one of something.
I don't know. It is what it is. Somebody was getting a call, and maybe
we're just gonna cut this part out of the pod.
We're recording with. No, I'm not gonna cut it. It's gonna stay right here because I'm not going through all that editing. Remember that part where I was talking about the podcasts are now streamlined? We were just gonna jump straight to locals.
Man. Oh yeah, totally.
Talking about locals. Who won yesterday? Darian won the first BT13 locals, and Darian won locals with one of my creations, Ofani Serafi Loop. It's exactly what you think it is. It is Ofani Mon fall down mode and Black Serafi Mon with all the level 7s that you could ever want in a deck. Zork Defeat, Ruin mode, and Dexmon. It's just purple, yellow, good stuff. Purple, yellow, black, good stuff. Purple, yellow, black, white, good stuff. You know, all of the above. So he took that. I don't know what his matchups were, but he went 3-0 because we played like there was 10
I know he
people, so
played
3
Greg,
rounds.
which was Shine. I know for a fact.
Okay, so he played Shine and Mollywop Shine. Now I'm not saying that is not me saying that Rumburger was playing Rose Mon Tribal. And so I don't know what the third match was.
Oh,
I can't.
He played Oldfield first, I believe.
Was Oldfield playing Red Hybrid or was he playing Alpha again?
No, he's playing Chessmon.
One of the two. Oh,
no,
Chessmon. He was playing Chessmon. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Chessmon. So it beat Chessmon, ShineGrey, and Rosemon Tribal. Don't take that as, oh yeah, this is the good meta pick for Shine. No, it's a slow deck. It just, I mean, you know, if you can hit your pieces in that deck, I mean, yeah, you're off to the races. You recover. You're gonna delete Shine when it tries to delete you and all that stuff. First, you gotta see the pieces first, and it's hard because it's a purple yellow deck. So it gives a big memory with the Gatomon plays. You gotta try to sacrifice some scatter modes to the security gods, and you know, Eismon has jamming, so it doesn't always work out. But nonetheless, 3-0, and he took it. I don't recall who placed what. I think Rumburger was second with Rosemon Tribal. I was the one who lost to Rumburger. I went 2-1 as well. I was playing Royal Knights. I lost to Rosemon because of a very, very bad misplay. And then I won against, what did I play against? I played against, I don't even remember at this point. Everything feels like a blur. But I went 2-1. If I went 2-1 and placed somewhere like 4th or 5th, that means Dan also went 2-1 and placed right behind me because they came over and handed me packs. Dan said he went 2-1. I just didn't hear where anybody placed. So Dan probably placed right behind me, and Dan was playing Belfamon.
Yeah, so I think it was because my opponent's win rate was trash because I played Ophi. I'm pretty sure he went 0-3. And Greg went 1-2. So that put my my opponent's win percentage down the drain. So I think that's why I was like so low in the standings. But I played Belfamon. I'm still learning the deck. There's some combos need to like learn like when to trash certain cards, specifically like the Gizumons. When to play those. When, as crazy as it sounds, because normal decks, you want to, Digivolve and Raising. When to Digivolve and Raising, as crazy as that sounds, you're like, what you mean, Dan? Like, you always want to do that. No, in this deck, at times, you kind of don't want to because you got a lovely card called Proto Gizumon that states, when you play this card, reduce it by 2 by deleting your level 2 and raising. So trying to figure out like when to digivolve there, and like let's say do like an Eismon scatter mode combo with the on deletion Gogmon and Heralded, and deciding when to not digivolve, play the Guzumon for one, and then like kind of like level up in a sense by hard playing each versions of the Guzumons, because then you got the Guzumon AT, which is play cost of 4, which is level 4. Effect delete level 3 to reduce the play cost by 4, so it becomes a 2 cost. Then you have the XT one, that's the level 5, which states delete level 4 to play for reduce the play cost by 6, so it becomes a 3 cost drop, and then you play the team trash and so on. Yeah, so like there's certain times like I deleted the wrong things at the wrong times, or I used their on deletion effect and bottom deck the wrong Guzumons, which is something that I noticed comes up more frequently when you play, especially in like a grinded out games. Like you want to make sure you have like one of each in there at all times, so when you do delete on deletion, you play the next one for free, and like so on, you know what I'm saying? And then a matter of right. You always want rage mode and trash for sleep mode, just tuck them underneath them and whatnot. And the other important part is trying to always have your hand at 6 or less. I was playing against, I think it was Shine round 1, and I just kept drawing so much because all their effects is like draw 1, trash 1, draw 2, trash 2, whatever, that I kept being stuck with like 8 to 10 cards because I couldn't get rid of it. And so that was a little bit, it's just trying to figure out how to like make sure you keep trashing cards and whatnot. And then kind of when to do an Astamon play, in the sense of, do you digivolve it? Do you like keep one? Like, do you raise a stack and then hard play it so you can digivolve to sleep mode for free? Stuff like that. But yeah, my matchups were ShineGreymon round 1. Game 3, I bricked so hard that caused the issue to lose. Round 2, I played against Chessmon. That was a quick 2-0. Belfmon doing Belfmon things. Too strong. He thought he had me because he went into Oddmon Zor. Not Zor. Yeah, Zor. No. Alter S. My fault. The OG one. The one that on Digivolve won by everything and then delete floor. I was like, okay. Belfmon Sleep Mode, both of them unaffected by your effects. And then I had the Guzumon. I had the Proto Guzumon and then Guzumon AT. I was like, no problem. I'll gladly delete them. We'll play XT. We'll play our Tamer. We'll delete Proto. Play AT. Get some draw going. And a turn. Oh, your turn is done? You're done with your turn, right? You digivolve for 5? Cool, great. I got a bunch of effects. Give me a second. You know, activate the Tamer. Draw 1, trash 1. Effect. Slide them underneath Belfmon. Delete Queen Chessmon. Belfmon. Start main turn. Oh wait, Astamon's effect underneath it, so I get free in a level 4. Started my main phase, delete everything that's level 5 or lower, so then nothing's on board. And then I was like, all right, get the darkness, get him out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think it mattered. If I remember, I don't think it had mattered. It was just swing. But I think it happened again, game 2, something like that. But anyways, and then I played against Mirage Galgamon. That was a very hard matchup because they counter each other in the sense of what they do. Mirage Galga wants you to draw cards and wants you to have a lot of cards in hand, while Belfmon wants to have the least amount of cards in hand. I made some misplays just because like not knowing the matchup as well, but I ended up getting the win anyways because Belfmon Sleep Mode is just very strong in the sense of being unaffected by their card effects. I'm unaffected by Mirage's bounce or, you know, Sorai, because he has Sorai, unaffected by that. Stuff like that. And I went to game 3, able to pull it out. And yeah, that's how I won.
Yeah, that's what I was telling people. Belphemon and Mirage, it's crazy matchup because I mean Mirage is good, Belphemon's good, but technically speaking, Mirage has the edge in the matchup.
Sure.
Because Mirage wants to be adding cards to your hand, and it's capable of doing that. But
with ease.
If you know. Yeah, exactly. With ease. You know, whether it's the Thomas effect, is the new Thomas, you suspend it and makes you draw a card. There's the Gaomon that makes you draw a card. Burst mode adds cards to your hand.
Adds some security. Yeah, some security.
From security.
And then just for the fact that what is it? Mac Galgamon? That's the low 5, right? Mac Galgamon's low 5. I think it's the BT. I don't think it's the EX4 version. The one prior, it bounces a level 4 to your hand, and my whole job is to get my Guzumon deleted, but instead he's bouncing to my hand, which is adding cards to the hand as well. And then Mirage bounces level 5. So like I've had 18 XT on board at once, and he was just like, all right, Magalga bounce AT, Mirage bounce XT. So I was like, F, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the EX4 Magalgamon. And I mean, yeah, technically speaking, like it's probably like a 60, I would say 60-40 match in Mirage's favor.
I think it's really a matter of who's the pilots, you know what I'm saying? Especially for the Belphemon, because Mirage is going to do Mirage things.
I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah. 100%.
Generally speaking, it's like a 60-40 match in Mirage's favor. But I mean, as shown, it's always, and we'll talk about this later, it's always deck dependent. It's our deck and pilot dependent, you know? I mean, look at the Millith loop, like, I'm fudging words. I can't speak today.
Millith.
The Millith loop deck that won regionals, you know, that was 110% pilot dependent.
And then in that matchup, like what became very noticeable to me, which is obvious though, Mirage has no protection. So like with the Tamer effect, I'm blowing up his Mirage Galgamon, which puts him back a lot too as well. Or like if he's at a mock and he doesn't have anything, obviously like just level 5s or lower, guess what? Starting my turn, I'm blowing up your board.
But Dan, it doesn't have protection. It's not a good deck.
Wrong. It's still a really good deck.
We'll talk about that one later too. We'll talk about that one later too.
Of course.
The first thing we're gonna talk about before we get to any topics, we're gonna go over some poll results, some Q&As. So for those of you who listen on Spotify, you notice I've been uploading these little shorts. It's a cool little feature that we found on the platform that we use to record, where like we can create different shorts without having to put too much work into them, which is super cool. So I've been uploading those to YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Spotify. So on Spotify, I asked you guys on our first short that we uploaded, it was about hand destruction. And I asked if we could use more hand destruction. Only 2 people voted, but it was a split yes and no. And then I asked, what do you think about hand destruction? And our response from Jeremy was, I don't know for sure. It needs to be done right and not too crazy. I don't really want it to be a Yu-Gi-Oh problem or extremely early in the game, which is fair. It's definitely fair. You know, I think for even when we look at a deck like Beelzemon, it took how many sets for them to make decent mill support? I mean, granted, the original Beelzemon never focused on mill. It wasn't until EX2 that the deck focused on milling. And was that our first real mill support?
Well, I mean, like, sure in a sense, but like the BT1 Beelzemon was about, hey, you need 20 cards of trash to warp Evo still, regardless.
Right. Which at that point in time, you know, it was all about drawn trash, baby. And then it kind of just makes sense that mill is an easier way to get to that point. And then they superseded it by just making the new Beelzemons even better. Then you don't even have to play the secret Beelzemon. So, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get hand destruction. I'd love to see it, but I mean, Jeremy's right. It can't be done crazy. We can't have this whole Beelzemon problem. Can you imagine they come out with a deck and it's like, okay, cool. I'm effectively able to keep my opponent with like 2 to 3 cards in hand at all times. Like when a card is added to your opponent's hand by effect, they are forced to trap. It's what Bagra Army was trying to do with that Mad Leomon, was it? Was it Mad Leomon armed mode? There, when an effect adds cards to your opponent's hand, they have to discard the same amount of cards they added. Yeah, like something like that would be cool. It keeps parity and it doesn't go beyond the threshold. But you know, you're right. It does need to be done correctly. The next poll was the next poll was on our short. All my homies hate control. Mike was the star of this one. Everybody loved your take, Mike. This was actually a very popular one on TikTok. I asked, do you hate control decks? And 4 people felt very strongly about this. 2 people said yes, and 2 people said no. And our boy Jeremy again posted and said, I wouldn't say all control. I asked, why do you like or dislike playing against control decks? And he said, I wouldn't say all control. Like Bielstar and Black War Gray, to name, are fine. But when it gets to the point like Blue Hybrid, that was literally to stop me from playing the game, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I could agree with that one.
Blue Hybrid was
something else.
It feels like
forever ago.
I am so glad that deck got hit.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm happy it's gone.
It's to the point where, like, I mean, you know, Dan and I had that what if match, and it's to the point that, you know, it definitely wouldn't be the number 1 deck, not tier 1 by any means. Still, I think it would still be a good deck. It just happens to have a very poor match in the Tamer destruction, as does a lot of Tamer decks, which brings up a slight derail I'll take us on real quick. How do you guys feel about Hades Force? There's a lot of people clamoring for that card to be hit on the next ban list, because they say that it brings us back to the OG episode that we did on the ban list. But now that we're 2.5, 3 sets more into the game with the current ban list and the shape of the meta, and especially considering Shine and Mirage and all these burst decks and how essential the Tamers are to their decks, how do you guys feel about Hades Force being a potential hit on the next ban list?
Mike, you want to take it away first?
I'll let you take it first, Dan. Let's see what you got for me. Let's hear it.
The dumbass take, that's for sure. Whoever thinks Hades Force is whoever thinks Hades Force needs to get hit, needs to get good at the game.
Y'all heard it here.
See, it'd be way more funny if Dan answered first.
As I sip my water real quick.
I mean, Hades Force is a good card, but it's
a great card, but it's not a card that needs to be hit or even thought about getting hit on the ban list. Because now we have decks that are aggro with their Tamers, aka ShineGreymon. How do you stop that? You need cards that counter it. Even unfortunately, it's just one deck that can use it, but it's still something.
Well, you got other options. Like Ruin Mode it's kind of funny though that the card that fits into the Shine archetype so well also works so well against it when you Ruin Mode their board and they can't digivolve their Marcuses.
Yeah,
true.
Well, I guess technically you still can, because you can use the BT13 and then make it a 12k. Right? Is that no?
No, you have to burst mode to make it a 12K.
That's what it is.
But
no, I mean, Hades Force needs to be around. I mean, do you guys, I played Cross when Cross was strong. I played Hunters. Hades Force needed to be a thing against those decks, because those decks are just
What would you do
brutal.
if there was nothing that kept something like Hunters in check? I feel like that would have been the undisputable best deck in the format.
Well, I think it still would have lost to Beelzemon, but it would have been definitely... It wouldn't have been so much of a diverse format as it was. Because, you had pretty good matches with Black War Gray. It could go back and forth either way. If they could establish the board and, you know what I mean, get rid of your Tamers. But, I think Beelzemon still would have been better regardless. But again,
right.
Yeah.
But,
Hades Force needs
taking
to be
Beelzemon out
card.
of it. Hunters unchecked with the undisputable tuck and all of the consistency that the deck is capable of. I mean, I think that deck just, I mean, this kind of leads into our next thing. Did it
was top 16 again.
Just win something? Top 16, right? Okay, that's what EX4, right? That's what it was. It was top 16 in a EX4 regional, which was Play TCG hosted over the weekend. Yeah, it was number 7th. Ryan McCarthy went 7-1-1. And then we also had a couple other regionals where it placed 3rd. That was in France, France. It went 5-1. And in Brisbane, it placed 8th, going 3-0-2. Damn, went to time twice. Tragic.
Yeah, it was it topped in both that France one and the Texas in-person regional.
And it also topped once in the Carta Magica regional, and it placed 8th. So it's a solid deck. So imagine if that deck wasn't checked by Black or Gray. Like, I just, I understand the hate behind Hades Force. The argument being that, it invalidates a lot of archetypes.
It doesn't.
Well, a lot of archetypes invalidate.
I don't think it does.
Because even at the height of Black or Gray, the height of Black or Gray on X, other decks were still winning chips.
But
that says everything. That says everything to me. Like,
how are people going to win with Chessmon if
no one cares
can just
about
Hades
Chessmon.
Force their tamers?
I don't think you should be playing Chessmon anymore.
But that's the point, that's the thing we all come back to.
It's not a good
always.
deck.
It's like, why? Like, the good decks, and this is it, the bigger problem isn't that Hades Force needs to be banned. It's that decks need answers to the extent that some of these meta decks have their own answers, right? Like, I might have said this on the last podcast, but basically the bigger problem is that a lot of decks that people like to play, they're just not, some of them just aren't meant to be meta. Chessmon, for example, was made to be an extremely fair archetype to the point that it's too fair. Your pieces, your rookies digivolve for 1.
Like, as dumb as that sounds, it's like, it's stupid fair for no reason.
It is stupid.
Like, it was just
I
no
hate
sense.
those 1 Digivolve rookies without a black. That stuff that pisses me off. Like the Chumons that have the 1 Digivolve. Like, why?
And it doesn't reduce it on like a Pagumon or anything. Like, so you have to pay that. The lines in Chessmon are limited to your turn or your opponent's turn on deletion. The inheritables don't stack like correctly. Like, on your blocker main body, you'll have a reboot inheritable. So it's like, damn, do I want to have a blocker or do I want to give something reboot? And it's just like, why is this so fair?
It's also tough because that deck doesn't really have, it doesn't have built-in deletion or anything against opponents, right? Like, you have to just tech in option cards, don't you?
Yes.
Correct.
So, like, it's just, like, when a deck's like that, it's tough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why, like, decks that got, were like that originally and then got good support, like Dark Knightmon. Like, Dark Knightmon was like that. It was really wonky and didn't work right. And then over time, it got enough support where it could actually protect itself and digivolve things and
have some sort of resiliency.
Bring back, play out things again. Like,
the problem is sometimes that, like, a deck like Chessmon, who knows when we're gonna get like actual support for it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
never.
Because we're gonna because the way, especially the way like they're doing the sets, BT15 is second part Adventure 1. BT16 is probably gonna be Adventure 2, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the only time the only time Chessmon was relevant was Data Squad or Savers, whatever you want to call it. And who knows when that will be again, because we just got a whole bunch of support for that set basically. So like, it's gonna be a while unless they randomly throw it in like an EX set. I doubt it, but we'll see. Like, the only way it will get support is in just generic black support or yellow support, you know, so that just so happens to work with it. In my opinion, the best card in that deck is the Tamer. And that's not always a good thing. Because you can play Pawn Chessmon for free, and you gain a draw and then
gain and draw
a draw and a memory.
Color, yellow and black.
Yeah.
Yep.
And which means that card is playable on the decks, aka Sukumon, you know what I'm saying? Which is probably better for that deck than it is for its own deck, realistically. But yeah, like,
yeah. I feel that in my soul though, like some decks not getting support, especially like decks that come out in EX sets, like Hina Army.
Oh
like,
my goodness gracious!
When are we ever gonna get support for Hina?
Dragon Links will never get support.
That stuff is so cool, metallic and volcanic, but it's like, and it should, right? Like, but the unfortunate reality is we just got an entire set dedicated to Dragonic. What is it? What is
the
that
dragons
called?
Dragonic Roar.
Dragonic Roar. Like, they're not gonna give us that for many a sets.
They're gonna go through the cycle of,
like Dan said, to sprinkle it in.
And again, for those EX sets, they're probably just gonna go through the cycle of of what they want to go through. So we had the dragon support. We had, what was the EX4 set? They were like the weird, the
subspecies. They
alternate, subspecies. Now we're in the
alternate
beast. Now we're in a beast set for EX05. So EX06, it's probably could be anywhere between angels, nature spirits. It could be like sea animal support. Who knows? Machine army, machine empire. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you set when?
Yeah, you just never know. So like Chessmon, sorry for those Chessmon fans.
I hate it. It sucks, and that's what the real problem is at the end of the day. It's not that Hades Force needs to be banned, and it's just that we need better support for other decks, and some decks need to not be so fair. All right, Bandai, you listening to this? If ShineGrey can be busted, you can make Chessmon good. It's okay. It's okay. Speaking of ShineGreymon, did y'all know that ShineGrey won week 6 of the Tamers Battle League?
Actually, I did. I was there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh,
if you guys
really?
didn't know that because you weren't watching the Tamers Battle League, then you should go join the Discord and follow us on Twitch so that you know when we go live with the Tamers Battle League.
Amen.
Word.
Before we get to that, I just want to take this time. Let's plug our TikTok. You guys should go follow us on TikTok. We've got some, like I said, we post the videos there, so it's cool to see the Digi community on TikTok and interact with them. Shout out to our boys with the Security Check podcast and Cardboard Mimic, who shouted us out on Twitter. Or sorry, not Twitter, on TikTok. I get the two mixed up all the time.
Both T's, man. It's hard. Get it.
Both T's. Double T's, baby. Double T's. They're great guys over there. If you guys haven't listened to their podcast, you should go check them out. They're a bunch of cool guys. We're hoping to maybe get something together, some collaboration in the future. But, times are busy for everybody. But nonetheless, the Digi TikTok community is pretty cool. So y'all should give us a follow there if you are on TikTok. And also, I'm going to take this time to say this episode is sponsored by Game Nerds. Game Nerds is the place to get all of your sealed TCG needs, whether that be Digimon, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, like Brand Archive, I guess, Shadowverse, like anything you need, buy it on Game Nerds. You can use our link, which will be linked in our profile on Spotify. You'll also find it on our YouTube video. And if you join the Discord, you'll already know where to find it. So maybe you should join the Discord. We'd appreciate if you use our link. We get a cut of all proceeds that you make in your purchase. And all of those proceeds go straight back into all of our content creation. We have hired ourselves a thumbnail artist so that we can get a little bit unique on our YouTube content. And we've got pricing. We're sourcing our playmats currently. I'm talking to somebody about getting our different designs made because I've finally finalized our designs. They're actually about to go through a revision, but for the most part, the designs are finalized. And a lot of cool stuff is happening. So, last time I'll say it. If you're not part of the Discord, join the Discord.
What is that again,
week 6.
I didn't hear that correctly.
Yeah, what was the last part? It was join the what?
Join the Discord.
Oh, join the Discord. Oh,
join the Discord.
Which Discord again?
Tamers.
Yeah, what's Discord?
Tamers Battle League, presented by DigiGuard United.
There you
United
go.
Discord.
There you go. There you go.
One day we're gonna have this like down pack.
Tamers Battle League. One day we'll have it down pack. One day we'll all be in the same room.
Ooh,
that'll be nice. That'll be cool.
One day we'll all be in the
spoilers.
same room. And not dealing with, spoiler, we'll find out. Tamers Battle League Week 6 saw Angry Aquaman 43 in his Tamers Battle League debut take home the trophy, the win, the coveted championship, at least for Week 6, with ShineGrey in the first BT13 locals of the Tamers Battle League. And it was not ShineGrey as you might think it is. It is ShineGrey. Damn, I couldn't get enough pieces, so I just put together what I had. ShineGrey. He had all the essential stuff. You know, he had the BT12 Marcus, the BT12 Shine, but he wasn't able to get a lot of the BT13 stuff. So what was my man's running? Well, you're going to find out in his deck profile. So I'm not going to tell you anything because I want you to go watch that deck profile.
Keeping it secretive.
But it's a spicy one. So this is the part now where I'm not going to plug the Discord, but I plug our YouTube, the YouTube where you will find the deck profile. So if you want to watch this video on this not so spicy, but kind of spicy Shine list that won our locals, you should go check out our YouTube channel, DigiGuard United, baby. That's who we are. He played Mythios, who's playing Belphemon in the finals. Due to tiebreakers, Mythios did not end up placing second. Mythios placed third. And Coach with Super Duper Dorumon, aka Gaiomon X Antibody, ended up taking second in this week's Tamers Battle League, showing that if you like a Digimon enough, you can do whatever you want with it.
If you like a Digimon enough, you can put a really good top end at the end of it. Yeah. If you like it enough, you could just put Greymon cards in it and win.
This just reinforces the Greymon card game, you know? This is the Greymon card game, baby. ShineGrey and Gaiomon, Black War Grey X, Samudrumon, taking home the top 2 spots in this week's Tamers Battle League. I just want to take this time to say, I was doing a lot of reading, and I read a lot, I listen a lot, and I watch a lot too. And a lot of people said that Shine, it's inconsistent. If you don't see your pieces, you lose. It's not the best deck in the format. It's not even a good deck at some point. Some people say it's overrated.
Really?
They say there are other tier 1 decks that are better than it. They said
no way.
That, we even had a guy tell us that ShineGrey is not the best tier 1 deck that we've had. And I'd just like to take this time to say ShineGreymon just won a regionals. It won the Tamers Battle League. It had 5 tops in this regionals. And before I get all the naysayers who chime in and say, oh, well, Varney, there were 74 players in that regionals. It doesn't count. Are you invalidating a continent because they only had 74 players?
How dare they?
Get good, scrub. Maybe you should prove that ShineGreymon isn't good, because to me, it looks like ShineGreymon is damn good.
Definitely good deck. I don't know if it's the best tier 1 meta deck we've ever had, though.
Right. Well, who the
probably not. Sorry. But like,
it's definitely. But it's
I almost
definitely
dropped it. I almost dropped the F-bomb, but I didn't.
Yeah, you can't.
Who is comparing? I didn't say ShineGreymon was. Nobody said ShineGreymon was the best tier 1 deck of all time. I just said it's a really good deck, and it's arguably the best deck in the format. Before we actually got to play it. Just based off of Japanese results, everything we saw, we had 16 weeks, 4 months of results, because East ML, if y'all don't know East, y'all should go subscribe to him on YouTube. East makes great content. He is a Japanese-based Digimon card game player, and he keeps us up to date on the Japanese meta. But based on that, we just said, well, yeah, it looks like ShineGreymon's going to be the best deck in the format because, well, first of all, it's the Greymon card game. But, look at it. It's just running the tables in Japan. I don't know. I wasn't comparing it. Mike, what would you say is the best tier 1 deck that we've had?
Ooh, that's tough.
It would arguably, since I said that, it would have to be the deck that was closest to tier 0. So, Blue Hybrid or Lord Nightmon?
Blue Hybrid, probably for I don't know. It's tough to say because it's weird because they were not too far apart in sets.
Yeah.
But Lord Nightmon was
dropped off heavily.
Well, it dropped off because the set, I think, was like BT5. We had it for so long in the US that people just stopped playing it. I think that they got bored of it. But Blue Hybrid, like that was like 75% of tops at one point, wasn't it? Like,
it was relevant for BT7 and it was relevant for BT8, and it would have been relevant going into BT9 because people were like, you know, oh look, we can finally put X antibody under our stuff so that Blue Hybrid can't stun us, but Tommy got hit.
But it's also hard to say because like Red and Blue Omni, like BT1 days and stuff like that, like those, there wasn't a lot of decks that you could play back then. Yeah. So like those were like, you know, the best decks, I feel like. So it's hard, like different metas, it's hard to compare to.
Exactly, and that's why I don't even bother trying to compare that, because that was never my point. I couldn't fathom anybody who could say that free Digi-Evolutions and making your tamers Digimon that could swing wasn't good. I just want to say, do you know how many times I have won games without ever seeing ShineGreymon? Like, I heard somebody say, you know, you gotta, number one, if you don't see the pieces, you don't win. Well, first of all, numb nuts. If you don't see the pieces in any of your decks, you won't win. If you don't see your combo, how do you win? But that's where you separate the scrubs from the good players, all right? Let's get that straight. You can win even if you don't see your combo. How many times have I played ShineGreymon and actually taken 5 security in one turn with the combo? Never. Maybe once.
I do it pretty often.
Mike does it all the time to me, and I don't know how.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good day.
I never get that luxury. I gotta work for my Shine wins. But
no, I don't really work for mine. Actually, I was playing against my buddy. Shout out, he is actually a part of the Discord. He's part of DigiGuard. I was playing with my boy Astramus Prime. And he like had a really good play, and then he checked security, and like 3 markets popped out. So then the next turn I had like 7 or 8 swings on board. I was like, I am so just not sorry. Marcus, actually, baby. This thing's busted.
It is. It's stupid. I literally win games just by swinging Marcus. You know what pisses me off the most? When my opponent has me at 0 security in the end, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'll clear your board. I'm good. I don't have to worry about anything.
And then they play the Agumon.
And then they just play the new BT13 Agumon, Mike, and they make their Marcus a Digimon. And I'm like, yeah, that's a play. Marcus for game. GG.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything.
The part that sucks also when you're playing against that matchup, depending on like how much they're cooking and whatnot, like with the deck, like if they get to the point, like let's say when they swing like multiple Marcus and then they die, and then they go to security, now you're afraid to swing to security because you're like, I'm about to give them the Marcuses back. Like if you're not doing it and like not doing it for a win turn or something like in that nature. It was like, do I even bother swinging? But then like it halts you. But like, you know, if you do swing, especially if it's BT12 Marcus, you know they're gonna be plussing because it's gonna be free evos and stuff. Like it just feels bad because like I know in one of my games against Shine Sunday that happened. Like 2 of his Marcuses died. I was like, oh great, and then I was like. Then he put it back to security. And I'm like ready to like swing a whole like with Belfmonts and stuff. I'm just like, why? Like, there's no point in me doing it because I'm gonna let him plus. I'd rather have him waste like maybe like an Evo to get it out security or something and have to reshuffle. And then, you know, I get to, you know, be able to attack knowing that it's not the first 2 Marcuses are not in the first 2 security. You know what I'm saying? Like for a fact. But yeah, it's a very strong deck. That's damn sure. And anybody says otherwise,
it reminds me of like yeah, that theory reminds me of like TK and Kari, the dual tamer.
Yes. Yeah, bro.
Where like if you have fear of security, then your opponent gains memory. That card hits the field, and I'm like, I can't even swing.
No, that shit.
It is
I
worse.
Was never afraid.
Worse.
I was never afraid of the TK and Kari. As someone who played against a lot because of this guy right here, like I was like, all right, bet, F it. A lot of times because it's like I'm not progressing, But when it comes to Shine, it's a whole nother level because you know he's gonna come swinging, possibly 2 checks 12k or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like blast mode and all the nonsense that can happen with it. It gets cracked.
Can we just talk about the fact that all it takes is 2 Marcuses on board? A memory setter Marcus. It doesn't matter which ones, but I'm just saying a memory setter Marcus, which you can play off of your BT12 GeoGray. And then a BT13 Marcus, which you can play off of your BT13 Rise Gray. Pass turn, comes back to you. Make Marcus a Digimon. Swing, Digivolve into Shine. You are now swinging for effectively 12k. 2 checks.
Oh yeah, it's also just I don't know. The deck's just good. I negged like 20k on the board the other day playing against it just off of like inheritables and Marcus Suspense. I was like, this deck's wild.
It's stacked.
Literally negative. I negged 20k. It was crap.
It's dumb, and I don't understand. I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry, but I'm about to say some real spicy shit. I don't know who these people who are saying that Shine isn't good are playtesting against. You probably need to get somebody better to playtest with you, because I don't see it. I don't see it, Chief. Shine's a good deck. And in my opinion, it is the best deck. It is not worse than Mirage. I'll say that. I'll say that with the utmost certainty. If you think that Mirage can beat Shine consistently, I didn't say beat it. I said beat it consistently, because that's what matters. It's the consistency. I'll eat my words, but until these results show that, Mirage had 2 tops, but so did Greymon Tribal, so did Bloom Lord, so did Red Hybrid, and then we also saw Roll Knights and Alphamon and MachineDramon. It doesn't matter if there were 74 players. Somebody went 6-0. Somebody said, haha, F you to everybody that they played, and they won every match with ShineGreymon. So did Angry Aquaman. 4-0. Playing non-optimal ShineGreymon, and still said F you to everybody in the Tamers Battle League.
Shine
is a good deck. You cannot tell me otherwise.
Side note. MachineDramon's still a good deck. For anybody that thinks otherwise, you're wrong.
But Dan, MachineDramon, blah blah blah, something. It's not good. I don't
know, but I'm seeing it still topping.
I don't understand.
I just saw MachineDramon get second place.
It's the same thing you said to me last week, Mike. Unfortunately, you had left, but Dan said this.
Family emergency.
How is Hunter? So we were talking. We reorganized the list, and you'll hear it when I release the pod because you haven't listened to it yet. But we reorganized the tier list a little bit, and Dan's argument was, How did Hunters get worse? It didn't. So how did we place it lower? Which was, not where we placed it wasn't a slight to Hunters. It was just a boon of the decks ahead of it.
It was still in contenders, right?
That's my point. It was still in contenders, and it's like the number 5 deck in contenders behind the 2 Greymon decks, behind Belphamon, and behind a blue deck. Blue deck being
and Beals.
And Beals. We did say we would move it ahead of Beelzemon.
Beals got a top this weekend too, didn't it?
It did get a top. It consistently gets tops. It still tops. It topped almost every tournament except this one. It did not top this BT13 tournament. Probably because why do that when you could just do Shine Gray shenanigans? But
no, I think there are 2 Greymon Tribal tops in the top 16 for TAC.
No, there are. Just a Beelzemon didn't have a top.
Oh, Beelzemon didn't. Yes.
And to top it off, out of the 2 tops, one of the Greymon list was effectively a War Gray X list.
Oh yeah, it's a good card.
Good card. I mean, it was 4 War Gray, a Black War Gray, and then a War Gray X. But we'll call it War Gray. But it just. It's not that it got worse. And so in the same vein, it's not that MachineDramon got worse. MachineDramon's biggest issue is that if you outspeed it, it's GG. Because you gotta establish your MachineDramon while simultaneously establishing an analog man. And the deck doesn't do it natively. I mean, the guy I'm looking at his list. He's not playing any of the Metal Mamemon that plays a Tamer. So he's hard playing this Analog Man, and then he's building a MachineDramon step. Metal, what did I say?
It's not Metal Mamemon, it's Mamemon.
Oh. It's just Mamemon? Okay. So he's not even playing the Mamemon that plays Tamers. He's just straight up playing Analog Man. And there's no ultimate connection either. So he's just straight up playing Analog Man, and then he's digivolving his way up into a Chaos X, most likely. Or hard dropping the MachineDramon. It doesn't matter. Like, the deck is slow with that in mind. You know, it's not the fastest. It's just that once you establish it, good luck, GG. How does Shine overcome this deck if you put a Chaos X on board that has an EX1 MachineDramon in source?
It doesn't.
You don't, exactly. The only thing you can do is
you
keep establishing Marcuses, because it's not like the deck can delete Marcuses. Exactly, you got a board swarm, which Shine has an advantage on that part. But still, I mean, when MachineDramon is going to be swinging a check or two, it's going to be trashing his security potentially. You got the Metal Tyrannomon. You know, it's like,
I just think Shine's a faster deck, so it should be
110%.
But that being said, EX1 MachineDramon, you can just hard play that bitch. You know, like,
what are you gonna do
if you hard play it while there's analog use on the field? You know,
exactly.
Hey, also for the record, in Japan, once those in-training cards came out, MachineDramon was a menace again, even against a meta with ShineGreymon
and Raremon.
Of course, obviously with those cards, but I'm saying like in general, like it was a deck that didn't just. It was not a one trick pony. Like, all right, cool. It was, you know, a very specific time frame, like ulti cup stuff. They weren't having ulti cups in Japan. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having a one color format. We had that here just because I don't know why they decided to have those, but we have those. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. It's not just a deck that can just win an ulti cup. It's a deck that can win a regional with all those other really good decks. So it's still a good deck.
It's still a good deck. Don't let anybody, you know, listen, I just want to, I'll take this time to say, you know, we're content creators. We have our own opinions. The reason we started this podcast, the reason Dan and I started this podcast way back when, we felt that we had a lot to talk about when it came to Digimon, and we added Mike because Mike feels the same exact way that we do. There's so much to talk about with Digimon. We have so many opinions.
I don't want to say I feel the same exact way as you do, Varney.
Shut up, Mike. Shut up, Mike. Shut up, Mike.
Me and Dan, though, yeah.
We all feel so strongly about Digimon. We have so many views that we just want to put out there. And we just want you guys, you know, we want to put our opinions out there. And we also want to hear from you guys what you guys have to say. We love reading the comments. That's why we always try to engage. That's why we opened up the Discord, because we love the talks that we have with the different people. Nobody is ever 100% right all the time. You know, don't take any one person's opinion, any one content creator's opinion, and run with it as that's the golden word, because it's not. Do your research, formulate your own opinions. That's what a card game, for me, that's the essence of a card game. I love getting into card games because there's like, sure, a lot of stuff is figured out. We know that Shine was going to be a really good deck. You know, Mirage was going to be good, Belphamon, you know, you can still play Greymon, you can still play Hunters, etc., etc. But, you know, there's the deck building aspect. There's the play aspect, like actually playing the game. There's the strategic aspect when you're playing that game. Because obviously not everything's going to turn out the way that you want it to. And there's so much that goes into, you know, what is my local meta like? Because local metas differ. You know, some people play some jank decks and good decks. Some metas, like PPG down in Florida, I'm sure they'd all just play meta decks. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But when you deck build, you got to keep these things in mind. Because if, for example, if you come in and face Chessmon one week and you're not prepared for Chessmon could slap you up. And we saw that in the Tamers Battle League. Chessmon may not have won or done well, but it had people on the ropes at time because of what the deck does. They weren't aware of it, they didn't expect it, and they just didn't know how to respond to it. There's so much that goes into this. You got to formulate your own opinions, you know, using all of the resources that you have, and really just key in and enjoy the game for what it is, you know? Nobody is ever right all the time, and you just gotta run with it sometimes, bro. If you feel that something's good, go with it. MachineDramon's still good. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Lots of decks. I mean, we talk about it on the pod all the time, though. Decks don't necessarily get worse in Digimon unless they get hit. Speaking of which, if they actually hit BT12 Marcus, I think that deck is dead in the water.
That's what
I'll be honest.
I don't think so.
I think if they hit BT12 Marcus,
because you still have the Agumon.
So the biggest thing,
and then you got DigiGuard that can just play.
It slows the deck down.
It slows it down. I don't think it's a dead deck in the water though.
Like,
because you still have everything else that can play the other Marcuses for free as well. So like you can make them into
or yellow and red tamers.
I think the key though is like you have the Agumon that makes the maintainer, right? But so like you raise the Agumon and then you make your the Marcus on the field a tamer, right? So you make BT13 a tamer, right? You don't have the free Digivolve, so now you're sitting at a rookie still, and you have to try and climb without protection to a mega.
Protection.
Yeah, obviously that's the issue, but like I think it will still be a deck that you could still see top here in there.
We forgot to talk about protection, boys. ShineGreymon doesn't have protection, but it won a regionals. Mirage Galgamon doesn't have protection, but it placed third at a regionals. Bloom Lord doesn't have protection, but it placed fifth. Red Hybrid.
Definitely zero protection.
Technically, kind of, in a way, Royal Knights. No protection. Kind of no protection for Royal Knights. Well, and they topped.
I will say, a lot of the reasons why decks like that can do well without protection is because if they get blown out, they can still bounce back.
Exactly.
That's why decks like Hunters are so good, because unless you get the Hades Force, which is a total blowout, like you can still respond to almost anything happening on the board. If Shine gets blown out, I mean, I've done it multiple times in playtesting where I'll just raise the Shine on the field, do my Shine, do Marcus things, whatever. If I can't kill them that turn, whatever. I'll just leave something in raising. I don't raise. I'll just leave it because I know that if they blow out my stack, I'll just free Digivolve all the way up the next turn and finish the job.
So that's like my entire argument. Like Shine doesn't need protection.
Shine does not need protection.
And neither does Mirage. But not only do they not need protection, Mike just said it, and I think this is like the keystone. Playing, I guess it's because I don't play Greymon tribal decks, so I natively don't play decks that have protection. Xmon has evade, but doesn't get around everything. It's a risk and opportunity type thing. But at the same time, because of how much you can plus with Shine early on, it is almost always beneficial to come out of raising on like your second turn, because you're either gonna have a Geogray that plays a Marcus for free or a Geogray that searches your security for a Marcus and potentially plays a Tamer if you find one. For me, 8 out of 10 times I hit a Tamer. And then I'm able to start Digivolving up again in raising. I play it in such a way, I don't care about protection. I don't need protection. I already have another stack ready to come out if the first one gets blown up. And if it doesn't, cool, I'm snowballing. Like this argument that, these decks that don't have protection makes it a problem. No. That's good. First of all, that's good. We're seeing protection not necessarily die out, but we're seeing protection being worked around. How do we make protection less busted? Because we can't let everybody abuse it. And we're seeing it in different ways. It's a good thing that ShineGrey doesn't have protection. You don't need it if you play smart. Obviously, you're not going to be able to play that way all the time. But again, you got to be able to navigate your matchups. You can't navigate your matchup. Get good. Get some coaching.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all about not overextending as well, I think that's a big part of it, not overextending. A lot of times, actually, what I do with Shine is if I just, I'll raise in the back Agumon and then I'll just drop the Agumon that searches, pass him 3. And then when it gets passed back to me, I won't even raise. I'll just use the Agumon on the field to climb and play the Marcus for free.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's for me, people say I don't want to go first playing Shine. I want to go first. I want to Digivolve an Agumon. I want to play an Agumon. Because when it comes back to my turn, if I have a Geogray that searches security, I'm Digivolving that on the field and playing a Tamer. If I have one that plays a Marcus, I have a Marcus in hand, I'm playing that, I'm getting that Marcus. I'm climbing up to the first Shine, waiting with my Agumon in the back from when that first stack gets deleted. It's just like, do people not think of this? And then they're gonna come at me and they're gonna say, well, Varney, this, that, and the other, it's not always possible to do that. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, we're not saying that it's always, but like that's how Mike and I do it. You can't tell me that Mike and I in playtesting are just somehow always pulling the God hands. Well, Mike does. I don't though.
That's not true. I bricked against Ashmer's Prime. I had a hand. It was like I mulliganed because my first hand was like meh, and then the hand I drew was like 4 Geo Gray, Rise Gray. I was like, oh shit. I said, all right, hard played, pass. The next 4 draws were all my Geo Grays. I don't know how that happened. Statistically, I don't even understand it. But like the statistical amount of that happening was ridiculous. I played 10 Geo Grays in the deck. I swear I saw 8. It was wild.
It's a card game, guys. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, but to be fair, talking about bricks and whatever, if you have the perfect hand every single game, one, that deck's probably just absolutely insane if you're just drawing perfect hands every game. 2, you probably just aren't shuffling right or cheating or something, because bricking is part of the game. I mean, it's part of any card game. Shuffling is all luck, like drawing is all luck. You shouldn't be able to draw all of your pieces every single time unless, again, the deck is just cracked. If you brick, like, that's just part of the game. You can't always just have perfect hands. You can't always get all your pieces unless the deck's busted.
And it's especially relevant in Digimon because, more so than other games, like for example, like obviously you can brick in Yu-Gi-Oh, but especially with no mulligans, but in Yu-Gi-Oh, there are combo starters. There's a way to get your combo starters and all sorts, because there's search and all that stuff and whatnot. Pokemon, you've got Ultra Ball and Great Ball. In DBS, Battle Spirits is different because they're in their first set. But in Digimon, it's, the only way that I'm drawing a card is at the start of my turn and by digivolving, unless I have searchers, which not every deck has access to searchers. And if you don't, you're most likely paying a memory boost. So it's like this whole mechanic of having to climb for most decks, at least, D-boys may not necessarily climb. But a lot of decks climb, and because you have to climb, you're going to inherently brick. You're going to not see a level 4 at times you need it, or you're going to not see a Marcus off so you can play it off your Rise Gate. Like, it's just going to happen. It's the Digimon card game, for heaven's sake. But I just said it. It's a card game. It's going to happen. Anyways, this is the topic we wanted to talk about last week. And I think this is a very important topic. It's a cool topic also. The timing of formats. A lot of people, I once upon a time, we lived in a land, and people used to say that we were getting sets way too fast. And then 2 months later, they said that the sets were getting delayed too much. And then they went back to saying we were getting sets way too fast. And then they said they were getting delayed too much. And it seemed like the people couldn't be pleased. And then the pandemic ended and things began to settle down. And now we're at a point where we're getting 4 main sets per year and 2 side sets a year, because we got EX4, but EX5 doesn't come out until like January, I think it is. So technically we only got 1 this year because that's in January, and we got EX3 in November. So it's a really weird release schedule on that part, but we are getting a reprint.
Was EX3 all the way back in November now?
Yeah, bro. It was basically like right after the release of BT10.
No, it was the end of October.
That's so crazy.
Okay, so it was October. It was just still October, and then we got EX4 in June. Crazy. That was almost like 9 months between side sets. But generally, we should be getting 2 side sets a year, I believe. 4 main sets a year. At least that's what it is for Japan. And, I think that's fine. I think it's a nice amount of time. We started the year with BT11 for nationals. We had a couple months of that. Then we had BT12, a couple months of that. We got EX4. We had a month, not even, of that. And then we got to now BT13. We're gonna go a couple months before we get the reprint booster, and then we're gonna get the starter decks, and then BT14, basically in like consecutive months, September, October, November. And I mean, I'm personally fine with that. I think that's fine. But there's a lot of people who are upset that EX4 didn't last longer than it did. Because I mean, you can look at the regional results that happened for EX4. Outside of Black War Grey dominating the Play TCG regional, which was 404 players, and when I say dominating, 7 out of 16 tops, that was Greymon Tribal. The results otherwise were pretty evenly spread. We even saw an Imperialist top regionals, you know, like it's to that point where like we're like, cool, like this seems like a really good meta. And a lot of people are very upset that EX4 didn't last as long. They didn't get as much time to play with these new cards. And because Mike was absent last week, I'm gonna let Mike give us his opinions on how he feels about that, how he feels about the timing of these formats.
Oof. I mean, yeah, sometimes it does. It's the way the sets get stacked for us sometimes. EX4 came in at a really weird time between BT12 and BT13. Because I feel like, what, EX4 released last month only?
Yep.
And then BT13 dropped now. So sometimes it does feel like a lot. For me, I skip some EX sets. Like, I skipped EX4 completely, pretty much. I just bought singles. There was, like, nothing I really cared about for EX4. And as my issue is when main sets, like, sometimes main sets I feel like get stacked really weirdly as well. Not so much anymore though. Mostly back when BT5 hit. So after BT5 ended, we got BT6, and then we started getting sets really weirdly, randomly, and rapidly, it felt like. And then things are still being delayed, and that was annoying. Now I think it's better, and I'm kind of glad that we're going to be in BT13 format for quite some time, I think. We're here for a hot minute till BT14, and that's kind of nice. I just hope that the format doesn't feel stale, so we'll see what happens. I feel like what they should have done, if we were gonna have this weird release schedule where like there was only a month between EX4 and BT13. I wish we would have just gotten that RB set in place of EX4, and then EX4 dropped like after BT13 or something, you know? I feel like that might have been better placing of it or something like that. It's just we got that Rising Wind set pushed back because they were just trying to dick us over and not give us the full set. They were just trying to give us, what were they trying to, as box toppers or some shit?
They never actually said what their plans were. They just said that their plans were different than actually giving us
they said they confirmed what it was.
They were going to charge us,
No, they confirmed.
They're gonna charge us like $40 for a gift box or some shit, weren't they?
So, yeah, it was gonna be
I don't know what it was, but I'd imagine
it was gonna be a like some small pack thing that was like that only had new cards, and it was gonna be like a limited thing. It wasn't like an actual.
Oh right, box. It was just gonna have the Ghost Game cards. It wasn't gonna be the reprints.
Yeah, and then
like that's like so.
And then one of the Gamamon cards was like a super hard pull or something like that.
Stupid. So like I'm kind of glad that got pushed back, but I wish that they would have done it differently if we're gonna have such a short thing. I think a lot of the other issues that a lot of people have is the economy is, isn't really the best right now. Not to get like, super, I'm not like an economist or anything like that, but people are hurting for your money sometimes, and Digimon's not cheap, $70 a box if you get an MSRP, right? These sets keep coming out, they pile up. I know that I spend way too much money on this card game.
If you don't have the money to buy boxes of Digimon, that is perfectly fine. You buy singles.
100%.
I don't want to hear Digimon is not cheap.
Whoa. Here's the thing, right? You should always buy singles. You should never buy boxes. Buying product, whatever. You should buy singles if that's like, I'm on the singles train all day. However, I don't want to gatekeep people not being able to buy shit.
I'm not gatekeeping. I'm just saying if you legitimately don't have money, that's fine. Buy singles, bro. There's so many deck lists online.
I think
you can just go and buy your cards.
I get that, but I think that some like countries and some places that are harder to get product in, right? They might not have access to singles as easily as we do in the US.
Right, yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
They don't have TCG.
Yeah, exactly. They might have TCG, but it might be hard to get things shipped like that. You know what I mean?
Because even in Canada, TCG Player doesn't. I don't think they allow shipping to Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
See, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, not everyone has as easy access to the card game as we do in the US. We get pretty spoiled in the States, I'd say.
Right.
We get the most tournaments, I think, here. We get the most in-person tournaments, which is not enough in-person tournaments. Not enough in-person tournaments at all.
What have we had this year? Like 2?
Nothing. It's so upsetting.
Gen Con's gonna like make it look like it was really good or some shit, but it's really not.
Nah, it sucks. It does. But again, like we get spoiled pretty well over here. So that's kind of what I'm saying. It's just like the way things release and the timing and the price and stuff. It's not exactly, if you're not buying singles, it's not cheap to buy to play the game. If you're being, it's like any card game. If you're not buying singles, you're spending a lot of money, and some people just can't get singles.
Dan, something you said last week. You said, so like, look, we're gonna look beyond the financial aspect of it for a moment. One thing you said last week, and this was an argument I saw on Facebook. Some people look at the formats as being completely different. Like, for example, obviously BT11 to a BT12 is a completely different format. There's new decks, new support, etc. You see the same thing in EX4. EX4 gave us the Omni deck, but it also gave us support such as like Shadow Serafi for Myofani deck. And some people look at EX4 as being an entirely new format, and some people look at BT12 and EX4 as being the format. Care to elaborate on like that thought process you had there, if you remember it?
Yeah, sure. I don't remember, but I probably worked my way to remembering it. But a lot of people think of.
I'm sorry, it's been a couple days.
No, yeah. Usually EX sets feels like it's part of a main set, like it's just an extension of the set, right? So example,
agreed,
our BT12 format is part of EX4. So like people, I think also Bandai probably a little bit maybe, but definitely like the people for sure think of it as, all right, BT12, EX4 era is really BT12 era. It's together. It's not just a separate a meta, because you really think about it, right? EX4 decks, it wasn't anything that was different per se. It's a blue flare got more powerful, right? And the occasional I can't say occasional ruin mode, anything that runs a ruin mode that help any purple deck or whatever deck shine. What else?
Yellow.
We saw from EX4 that was meta relevant. Because the bunnies as good of no, hell no.
Millith
Loop is a prime example of a deck that just came out. It wasn't. We know Little Loop, but it turned into a new deck because of all the Gilma and Growlma, War Growlma that came out, right? So like, those were only like the couple decks that, like I said, the Alliance kind of, but like that wasn't really doing anything meta-wise. Like that wasn't really hitting top 16s for at least a couple set regionals we had. So like it felt, if EX sets feel like they're part of the main set. So like BT12 really lasted whenever they dropped. When it dropped, April
till EX4, yeah.
When did BT12 drop?
June, I believe it was.
Yeah. So
BT12 dropped in April, and then EX4 dropped in June.
Yeah. So like it feels like BT12
all the way back in April.
Yeah. So like this format felt it was more like April to whenever BT13 dropped. So in July, April to July. So you really think about it, we had to set for like that format was April, May, June, July. That's 3 months basically. 3 months ish. So like that is fall in the line of 4 sets per month, 2 sets of EX sets per year. That's it per month. I meant per year, and so on. So like it doesn't feel
per year,
bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's okay.
Yeah, I you know, I understand where people are coming from. Like they want EX sets to be their own. Yeah, you can't. I mean, in their own bubble, like even when Xmon came out, like it took me all the way to BT11 to friggin' go all the way with Xmon, right? The Xmon came out, well, okay, that was only the next set. But like in terms of months,
basically end of BT11 though, right? Like it was like the last regional.
It was the last regionals of BT11. And in terms of months, I don't even remember when that regionals was. It was maybe like April, March. Yeah, so basically, it was basically right before the set before BT12 dropped actually. So let's say
it took you that long to win one,
BT or EX,
and it was like topping every once in a while.
Yeah, every once in a while it was topping, and that's EX3 came out in October, I think Dan said. So what? November, December, January, February, March, damn near April. That almost took like 5 to 6 months for me personally to even top with Xmon, because I was trying for a minute. And gosh, like, you know, in a way, like I could understand wanting EX sets to last longer, but I mean, I think the bigger problem is that the EX sets, obviously they're meant to be side sets. They're not meant to be these big power boosting sets. You know, Xmon was a powerful deck, but if
they're expansion sets. Well, it's like
such as Bloom.
Like if you think about it, like kind of like expansion sets to the main set of that era of that time frame.
Agreed. I agree with that so heavily. I think that's the best way to look at it. I think that's the only way to look at it. You know, a lot of people want EX sets to be looked at as their own meta, their own set, but you can't. I really don't think you can. I think with the archetypes that get pushed, you know, even looking at EX4, we got the bunny archetype, but that was an entirely new keyword. And most times a new keyword comes out and it's nowhere near powerful in its first couple sets. We got Omni Turbo, which is a deck that is a super high ceiling, tier 0, you can't touch me high ceiling type shit. Or I'm literally trash tier, I don't even know why you took me into a regionals type bottom level when you don't see your pieces type stuff, right? Like it can get blown out of the water very easily, but if it gets set up, most times it's like haha GG. That's a deck that I would only hope to see that kind of a deck in an EX set. And those are the two decks that like ring into my mind immediately when I think EX3. Everything else, you know, the Chaos Gallant supports an existing archetype. It created Millith Loop essentially in its current iteration. And there's a couple other decks, but is it worthy enough to call it its own format? I don't think so. I think the best way to look at it, the way that I look at it, is always BT12/EX4 format. You know, we have BT12 format, and then we have BT12 format with these support cards.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that's how everyone really viewed things. Starter decks too. It was like BT8.
Yeah, perfect.
BT8 example. Was like starter decks 9 and 10 for us. So, I think in Japan that was BT7s and starter deck.
Yeah. It feels more like to me. EX decks are delayed. What I mean by that is like they introduce the deck and the deck doesn't get good until like later on in a main set. Like perfect example, right? ShineGreymon. The very first EX deck per se that came out in an actual EX deck, because all those other cards really just support for other decks, especially EX01, right? That was the first real deck, EX deck. And how long did it take to be like a regional level competitor, right? It took all the way from EX1 to BT11, really.
Chaosdramon.
Which is, Chaosdramon, yeah, EX03, Chaosdramon, sure, yeah.
No, I mean like BT11 Chaosdramon. No,
that's 12.
Did Chaosdramon come out, the good one?
No, Chaosdramon dropped EX03. That was
BT2.
No, EX03 was Chaos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, EX03. I'd say EX03 is when the deck got. Yeah. That's when the deck started.
And even then, you wasn't really seeing it in a regional
side set.
Yeah, but you didn't really see it like do that well in regionals per se. You saw the here and there top deck, but in actuality, what really took it was BT11, because you had the new ShineGreymon was such a good card, and then you got Analog Man, right? And then 12 happened, then you got Chaos X, right? And now we're to the point where, oh, this is actually a really good deck now, right? Same concept with Beelzemon. You mentioned earlier in the pod, right? You were talking about if Beelzemon wasn't really a thing early on until EX02 happened. EX2 happened, you got a deck out of it. How long did it take again for it to be a good deck? It took onto BT11.
A whole ass advanced starter deck.
Oh yeah, the starter deck. I think it's the same thing how Mike said with the Imperial starter deck and BT8. Like I think of that same thing at all one. I think the advanced starter deck and BT11 the same thing. But yeah, it took a starter deck.
Yes.
Plus BT11 because BT11, the starter deck doesn't break. In my opinion, doesn't break Beelzemon. What breaks Beelzemon is the X versions, the X antibody versions. That's what takes it to the top of we saw what it did, right? What are the decks that we could think of off the top of the head?
We were all there for it, yeah.
Right?
We saw the sins it committed.
Yeah, right. We saw. So you said Gallimon, right?
decks.
Gallimon is another example where Gallimon EX02 support, right? You got
Here's a whole deck.
EX03, it got the Megidramon. The good Megidramon?
EX02.
No, that was the Holy Dragons version.
It did get a.
That was the Holy Dragons one. Yeah, that was
I got the Holy Dragons version of Digimon.
Whenever you got that,
We didn't
whenever you
get
got
the
that
Chaos
Megidramon,
until just now.
yeah, and then it took BT11.
Oh,
Oh,
Dan
Dan has cut out.
Dan?
Yeah, Dan, you're not talking, buddy.
His
Yeah,
audio's-
it's not coming through.
Dan's
All
dead.
right. Dan's reconnecting.
You there now, buddy?
Oh, Dan has died off.
Oh, okay.
Well, we got an hour 21 in. It was a good run.
It was a good run. Back to the Vardy and Mike show, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think that EX sets just don't really do a lot for the game sometimes. Which is also annoying because they still cost a lot of money to buy.
Yeah, it is super annoying because it's not even like you said, it's not even like, oh, cool, well, here's an EX set, instead of being 75, I'll spend 50. No, it's still MSRP, $96 a box because it's $4 a pack.
Do you hear me now?
Hey, Dan, what's going on?
Hey, buddy.
Oh, hey. So as I was saying, yeah. So like it takes EX decks take a while to, for them to get good, it feels like. The next one's gonna be Sakuyamon, maybe.
If they ever get good. It'll take a few sets. I think we'll get there when we loop back to a Tamer set.
It's funny, right?
Yeah.
Sukuyamon's a kind of good example too. Sukuyamon got its first line in BT5. Then it got an entirely new line in EX2 that really just did not synergize with the old line. And then we've got the BT10 line that came out with Maid Mode. Still wasn't a good deck, but it got a line in support. And then we got the Dark Sukuyamon line in Kuzuha, and that entirely subspecies in EX3. Still not a good deck, natively on its own at least. And so it's like, it really reinforces your point. Like, how many sets of support does it take for a deck to get good? It doesn't have the Greymon issue, and I think that's why Greymon. There goes Dan. I think that's why people really don't like Greymon, because Greymon always gets support and always gets good support, and then the other decks get support, but it's not always like good support that makes their decks good. Kuzuha's amazing. Kuzuhamon is amazing. Maid Mode is amazing. Does it make the deck itself good? No. Does it make other decks good? Yes.
Hey, Kuzuhamon is the best Sakuyamon.
Kuzuhamon.
Cracked in blue flare.
Fact.
Cracked in blue flare. So good.
It's a good card. It's something. I said it earlier. I probably said it last podcast, and it really just comes back to say, Bandai really just needs to give good support to all the archetypes, and then people would stop complaining so much. That's how I feel. But to cap up on the timing of the formats, I really feel like a lot of, for the people who feel that EX4 should be its own format, I don't necessarily disagree with you, But I do agree that there should be a larger timing between getting one set to the next. You know, I agree that if we got BT12 in April, May, June was a fine time for EX4 to come out. But I probably would have given us like a month and a half at least before BT13 came out. Like a month, because it wasn't even like a whole like real month. It was like 4 weeks flies by. You know, 6 weeks at least feels like something, in my opinion, in card game terms. You know, because we head to the card shop on a weekly basis. So 4 weeks just kind of like flies by. At least 6 weeks gives you a little bit of time, and 8 weeks is like, it almost feels like an eternity sometimes, you know? So I don't disagree, but I just don't think that you can look at them as separate formats. For me, it's BT12 EX4 format. It's not just EX4 format. It's the only way to look at it for me. And we're gonna get the reprint booster. Did people, you know, think about? Did people think about that era when Japan got it? Japan got the reprint booster in January. They had gotten the EX set in December. So did they think about it as, well, here's the RB01, you know, meta? No, it was BT, I think it was a BT12 at that time. Yeah, it was the BT12 EX4 RB01 meta. And for us, you know, we're going to get RB01 after BT13. So for us now, it's going to be the BT13 RB01 meta and then the BT13 RB01 starter deck meta. And then we go to BT14. And then we'll get EX5. And then it's not going to be EX5, it's going to be BT14 EX5. I mean, it's just, I think the way that, you know, we look at formats, it's different than other card games in a way. You know, even Yu-Gi-Oh! Am I right to say that every set that releases in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is basically a new format?
At this point, I think it is now. At this point, it is because they keep dropping like crack stuff in every set.
Right.
Back in the day, not
back
so
in the day,
much.
it was your normal like 4 and 2.
A good archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh since college. God, I'm old.
Even well, okay. So for me, Pokemon. I know Pokemon. They just came out with Paldea, something Paldea. It coincides with I think it's the second set of the Violet and Scarlet series, if I'm not mistaken. But kind of like every Pokemon set is its own meta. And of course, they have rotation, so that's a big factor into it. But they also don't really have side sets.
Well, if they have rotation, isn't it normally like a block format then? Like Magic does like a standard block.
Yeah, it is a block. It is a block
so you
format,
have
but
like
they rotate every couple sets.
Okay. Yeah,
Like,
Magic
I
is
think
like
it's
a
a
standard.
yearly rotation. So I think every year they phase out whatever the oldest letter is. I think
I never
don't
played
know what they
Pokemon.
phased out, but
It's like the one card game growing up. I just never.
you collected
Digimon
it,
was
though.
always better than Pokemon. I don't know, bro.
You collected it though.
I really didn't actually.
Oh man,
I played it. I played it as a kid.
It was always like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh. Nope, no clue how to play it at all. Actually,
I played Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid.
It's super easy. Pokemon is super easy to learn.
Magic, stiff.
I don't know about anymore, but when it comes to
Magic players in the comments, like, you are so wrong.
I don't know about anymore how like complicated Pokemon is in today's version, but like back when I learned how to play it, it was a relatively easy game to learn.
It's the same exact mechanics with a couple new things. You know, the ace for us has been honestly, like the ace for us is super reminiscent of what Pokemon started to do. They were like, okay, we need to inject something into this game that's not just here's some new keywords. Here's Pokemon VMAX.
Speaking of ace cards, it's a little late in the podcast to get going on this now, but I think for next podcast,
that's another story.
I kind of want to talk about my expectations of ace cards in this format and where they're going, because I feel like I let my brain mislead me on how good they were going to be.
Oh man, no, are we gonna get flamed for our bad ace takes?
Yeah, I don't know, because I just don't think they're that good right now.
For what it's worth, none of the topping lists from this BT13 regionals were playing ace cards, even though they could. There was no purple list right? Yeah, there is no purple list. So nothing to play the Metal Garurumon. That one is the bigger of the two. The Metal Garurumon, I mean, it's cracked, but also it's not because, you know, somebody over here is.
We need the starter decks for that one. I think
we definitely need the starter decks.
To really make a big difference.
We need the starter decks for both. It's dumb. It's so dumb.
Both, but the
Melga I think is way worse without the starter decks.
I was telling Dan, like Dan was trying to play it in Belphamon, and I'm like, I just don't see the value in it. It just doesn't seem worthwhile to me, considering everything else that the deck is capable of doing. And that's the only relevant purple deck outside of Milith Loop, which is its entirely own game plan. To say, you know, I would justify playing Melga. And for War Greymon, well, if Dark Nightmon's not doing anything, where Dark Nightmon is the deck that was making use of the War Greymon Ace. And if the Greymon tribal decks aren't playing the War Greymon Ace, you know, what are we supposed to do with our shit takes?
I do have kind of a spicy idea in my head for Melga Ace right now. But I'm gonna hold off on it for a little.
He's gonna let it brew and sit, and then it's never gonna come to the limelight. And then y'all will look back on this podcast as we close it out, and y'all gonna be like, "Damn, Mike really thought he had us going on something."
I got you. So I got you one right now. Hold on. I got you on one. You remember my Eismon, Ogremon, Rush shenanigans? That was all about trashing cards.
Gracious. I mean, it would be great in that deck, but what's gonna be your level 5? That's the question.
Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we got secrets, buddy. Don't you worry about it.
All right, I see.
My low 5 in that deck was Orochimon back in the day, so I could still use it.
Oh, that's the one you trash, you draw one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good card. Nidhogg too. Hey, speaking of Nidhogg, if you guys haven't picked up your pre-release Nidhoggs, you probably should if you like the foiled Nidhoggs, because they're going to go up in price once that ace can be abused, is how I personally feel. But you know, this isn't a market watch. Anyways, as we come down to the end of the podcast, I implore that you guys please... I won't say those words. I promised I wouldn't say them. Go subscribe on YouTube. So that you can know when I do upload that ShineGrey deck list, which I am hoping will be tomorrow. And you'll also see all the other good stuff that we upload there during the week. So, with that all being said, do we have any parting words for our fellow listeners and viewers, guys?
Tap it before you clap it. Let's go with that one.
Ryutamon, go! DigiGuard,
all right, we're done.
United!
All right, bye.
Anyways,
I don't know why I do a podcast with these two.
That is it for today's episode. That is it for today's episode of DigiPod, the digital podcast. So, until we talk to you guys the next time, peace out.
Peace.
Catch y'all on the next one.